Welcome to IAS project. In this video, we will learn about religion that was existing during early Vedic period. This is the second part for the religion topic of early Vedic period. In our last video, we have talked about different gods that were mentioned in Rig Veda. In this video, let's try to understand the broader aspects of religion during early Vedic society. So in early Vedic society, there were no temples. Moreover, idol worship was also not practiced during early Vedic period. Both of these are very important. So we have learnt that Rig Vedic Aryans personified nature gods and then they worshipped these nature gods. However, they did not use idols to worship these nature gods. Instead of going to temples, the most important practices of religions were sacrifices and rituals. Sacrifices were more important compared to rituals. However, rituals were also there, but there were no temples during early Vedic period. So, if there were no temples, how did early Vedic Aryans worship their gods? The dominant mode of worshipping gods was mainly through recitation of prayers, and along with recitation of prayers, they also offered sacrifices. Recitation of prayers means that they were speaking aloud the words of prayers. We know that Rig Veda contains many hymns that are dedicated for praising gods. For example, like Indra, Agni, Soma, Varuna, Vayu and many other gods. These are nothing but prayers, and these prayers were being said aloud by these Aryans. And along with the prayers, they also offered sacrifices. We know that sacrifices were mainly food grains. They also sacrificed dairy products like milk and ghee and some other items. So these were mainly the items of sacrifice. Previously, we have learnt that a cow has been called as Aganya in Rig Veda. Aganya simply means the animal that should not be killed. So this is the literal meaning of the word Aganya. However, in common sense, Aganya meant cow. So because of this, we said cow was a sacred animal during Rig Veda. However, beef eating as well as sacrificial killing of cows was also practiced during early Vedic period. Please note this, cow has been called as Aganya. However, meat eating was also there. Moreover, sacrificial killing of animals was also there during early Vedic period. When we study about later Vedic period, we will study that a guest has been called as Goghna. The literal meaning of Goghna is that a person who is responsible for the killing of the cows, or we can simply say cow killer. However, the meaning of Goghna is guest. So, when a guest comes to home, it was expected from the hosts that they had to kill a cow and then they had to serve that meat to the guest. This is why guest has been called as Goghna, which is nothing but killer of the cows. This is a word which mainly appears in later Vedic period. However, in early Vedic period also, meat eating was there and sacrificial killing of animals was also there. But we will learn that in later Vedic period, this has gone up to a whole new level. So comparatively, we can say during early Vedic period, the number of cows that were killed for sacrifices were very less compared to later Vedic period. Whatever the case was, even during early Vedic period, cows were being killed for meat as well as for offering sacrifices. So Aryans conducted prayers, and these prayers were either conducted collectively by the people of the tribe and sometimes they were also conducted individually. When we say the prayers were conducted collectively, this means that prayers or religion was not an individual aspect, but it was also the collective aspect of society. So when the Aryans made prayers collectively, they recited the prayers in chorus. Chorus simply means that one person initially says a prayer line and then all the other people will repeat that line. You know the word chorus from singing. Initially, the priest used to speak a line of prayer and then the other people who were attending the prayer also said that line. This is how prayers were conducted collectively by the members of whole tribe. This also happened in the case of sacrifices. When yajna was being conducted, what they did was they sang the prayers or they read the prayers aloud in the form of chorus. Moreover, when they performed yajna rituals, what they did was they invited gods like Agni and Indra. So these gods were invited for taking part in the sacrifices that were being made by the whole tribe. I already told you that Agni was basically considered as an intermediary god between gods and people. So that is why the yajna was very, very important. When these people offered barley, milk, ghee into the fire that is present in the yajna, they believed that Agni god is going to burn all these sacrifices, and then he is going to take these sacrifices in the form of smoke to the other gods who were present in the sky. So this was the belief of early Vedic Aryans. They made religious offerings mainly in the form of fruits and vegetables, and also in the form of dairy products like ghee, milk, butter and other things. And they also offered food grains. Sometimes we have learnt that they have also offered animals in the form of sacrifices. So all these things were offered to gods. However, we have to note that during early Vedic times, this procedure of offerings and sacrifices was very, very simple. Most of the times, these offerings and sacrifices were not accompanied by any ritual or sacrificial formula. Please note this. What this means is that, let's say a person is individually conducting a yajna. Then that person is going to take all these offerings, and by reading the prayers in the Rig Veda, he was simply tossing all these offerings into the fire of the yajna. He was not conducting any ritual formulas. For example, first ghee, then barley. There was no procedure like this. He simply read out his prayers and then he offered all this material into the fire. When we talk about collective offerings by the tribe, then it was usually the priest who was making all these offerings, and other people were sitting near the priest, and then they were repeating the lines of the priest in chorus. So this was how offerings and sacrifices were made in Rig Veda. This is very important because rituals as well as sacrificial formulas are associated with later Vedic period. So during Rig Vedic period, these were practically absent. So we can say that during Rig Vedic period, the magical power of the word was not considered important when we compare it to later Vedic times. This simply means that in later Vedic times, the words that are used in the prayer were very, very important. And along with these words, the acts that people were doing during offerings, that is nothing but ritual and sacrificial formula, were also very, very important. But during Rig Vedic period, the words that are mentioned in the prayers were not important. At the same time, the ritual formula was also not important. Rituals were important, but the step-by-step manner in which a ritual or a sacrifice is conducted was not important. Whatever the case was, rituals were important during Rig Vedic period. That is why when rituals were important, priests also became important. However, their importance in later Vedic period became even larger. So this is about the offerings, rituals and sacrifices. If we talk about why early Vedic Aryans were praying, then they were mainly praying for rewards. For example, they were praying for male children. They were also praying for cattle. They were praying for winning wars. So such kind of rewards were expected by early Vedic Aryans. These people were not expecting philosophical rewards. For example, they were not praying for, let's say, spiritual upliftment or knowledge and wisdom or world peace or something like that. They were mainly expecting physical aspects like male children, cattle, wealth and all these. They were also praying for winning wars, because when they win wars, they get the war loot. The religion during early Vedic period was naturalistic and polytheistic. Naturalistic means they were worshipping nature gods like mountains, rivers, thunder, fire, air and all these things. Polytheistic means that many gods were existing. The opposite of polytheistic would be monotheistic. Monotheistic or monotheism means the belief that there is only one god. Early Vedic people were practicing polytheism, which means that many gods existed. For example, like Indra, Agni, Varuna, Vayu and all these. Originally, in early Vedic period also, every tribe or clan had their own god. So even within Aryans, all the people were not worshipping all the gods. For example, a particular tribe may have a particular god. Not only a particular tribe, but also a particular clan also had sometimes a particular god. We will talk about such kind of different gods which were practiced by a specific group in the society when we talk about later Vedic period. Because This aspect was not very important in early Vedic period. But when we come to later Vedic period, we will learn that gods have also been categorized into different groups. For example, in later Vedic period, Agni was considered as a god of Brahmins, whereas Indra was considered as god of Kshatriyas, because Indra was mainly seen from the point of view of being Purandhara. I told you that Purandhara means breaker of forts or breaker of settlements. So there is an element of war and violence in this name for Indra. That is why Kshatriya people who were mainly warriors were worshipping Purandhara. Similarly, Vaishyas also had their own god, and the new category of Sudras who came at the end of early Vedic period also had their own gods. So we will talk about this more when we talk about later Vedic period. In early Vedic period, there were many priests and sages. Some of the important priests and sages would be Vasishtha and Vishwamitra. Vishwamitra is very important because Vishwamitra composed what is known as Gayatri Mantra. Gayatri Mantra is very sacred in Hinduism. It is also called as Savitri Mantra because it was mainly composed to praise Savitri, who is also known as the sun goddess or the sun deity. This Gayatri Mantra is present in third book of Rig Veda. So we can say that Gayatri Mantra belongs to third mandala of Rig Veda. Gayatri Mantra is also called as Savitri Mantra, and it was composed by sage Vishwamitra, who was an important priest or an important poet during early Vedic period. And Vishwamitra composed Gayatri Mantra mainly to widen the Aryan world, which simply means that he wanted to spread Aryan culture and Aryan religion to the world. So early Vedic Aryans worshipped mainly for physical reasons as well as material reasons. We have just learned that when they prayed, they mainly expected children as well as cattle. So we call both of these as Praja and Pashu. Praja means children, Pashu means cattle. They also prayed for other aspects like food, wealth, winning of wars so that they can get war loot and things like this. However, they did not worship for spiritual upliftment, or even they did not worship for ending miseries of existence. So these people were mainly worshipping for physical and material things. If we talk about the burial practices of early Vedic Aryans, two kinds of practices were prevalent, that is complete burials and cremations. So this is about the religion of early Vedic period. In our next video, we will start with later Vedic period. Please try to answer this question. Consider the below statements regarding Gayatri Mantra. 3 statements have been given here, and the question is which of the above are correct. The first statement is it was composed by Vishwamitra. The second statement is it is dedicated to the deity Savitri, and therefore it is also called as Savitri Mantra. The third statement is it was composed in the third mandala of Rig Veda. Please like and subscribe. You can download this presentation from our Telegram channel. The name of the channel is IAS Project. The link for this channel has been given in the description section below. Thank you.